Welcome back to the channel and good morning. It's Saturday, September 13th, 2025. I've got my cappuccino here, so I'm ready to go. This video is about 401k withdrawals, and it's actually based on a comment to my recent video. So let's take a look at that comment. So this is from a viewer named InquisitVem6723, wanting to know how you can withdraw from a 401k plan once age 59 and a half is reached or at age 55 using the rule of 55. There's also a follow-up question about fees because a buddy of his was charged $50 per $1,000 in withdrawals. That's about 5%. And I'll make a guess as to what it is and go on to talk a little bit more about it. So let's jump into this video and talk about this topic and see if we can shed some light onto this. So the most important thing that you're going to need to get is the summary plan description for your particular 401k plan. You can request this from your plan administrator, and legally they have to provide this to you. So in my plan, this is the most recent plan description. It's the 2025 edition. It's around 30 pages. It's the legal document that governs everything that your plan offers and is essentially a contract between you and the company that's sponsoring the plan. There's a lot of legalese and descriptions of plan benefits and features and what have you in here. So if you are interested in knowing what your plan offers, I highly recommend that you go to your plan administrator and request a copy of this. So looking through this, you can see that we have Schwab as our provider for the plan. But then as you go and read through about this, it talks about different contribution limits. There's this in-plan Roth conversion. So we do have a feature where you can contribute voluntary after-tax money. This is beyond the traditional contribution limit for employees. And then in the plan, it automatically converts to Roth. So you might have heard the mega Roth backdoor. This is actually what governs it and allows you to do that. It also talks about vesting because for some companies, some of the vesting takes time, especially if it's the firm contribution. In our plan, it's a great plan. We have a profit sharing feature, so it's not really a matching, but you're 100% vested in the account at all times. So that's great. And then it talks about certain investment options, so on and so forth. What we're really interested in for answering the question that was posed are these two sections here. So these are in-service withdrawals and distributions, and then what happens after termination of employment. So this is where the rule of 55 is going to come into play. But let's look at the first question. How do you get money out of the plan at age 59 and a half? So that's on page 13, but because there's a title page and table of contents, it's actually page 17 in the navigator, but it's right here, this in-service withdrawal. So you can see here that when you're in the plan, if you're younger than 59 and a half, you're going to face this 10% excise tax. This is the penalty that people talk about when you take funds out of your retirement accounts before age 59 and a half. So this doesn't matter if it's in a 401k or in an IRA, but it's an excise tax, a penalty. So if you take it out before then, you have to pay this. But once you reach 59 and a half, you can take this out even while you're working at the particular company. So it tells you in this section how that works, but then it also tells you that you can take out certain amounts, after age 59 and a half, even while you're still working. And then there's a special provision in here that you can withdraw certain contributions at age 55 where you're still working, but not all of them. Now, this partial distribution here for age 55 in-service withdrawal is still subject to the 10% penalty. So even though you can take it out while you continue working, you will have to pay that 10% penalty and any taxes on non-Roth funds. Okay, so this covers the in-service withdrawals as well as what happens once you reach 59.5. So once you reach 59.5, you have full options. You can continue working, but still withdraw from the plan, at least in my plan. You can quit and continue withdrawing. You can roll it over to an IRA and then do whatever you please with it. So those are some of the things that your plan document would describe. But at age 59.5, you should be able to take out any of your money. And if taxes are due, you have to pay those. But aside from that, no penalty. And at least in my plan, there are no other fees involved. The one thing I want to talk about in terms of fees is that if you're selling ETFs, there is a small SEC exchange fee, but it's tiny. It's less than 0.1%. I don't know the exact figure, but it's pennies on $1,000. So if you're paying $50 per 1,000 withdrawal, or your friend is, there is an additional fee that's imposed by the provider of the plan or whoever that's charging you this extra, and you don't really need to pay that. So if you want to avoid that, you can just roll it over to an IRA once you have quit working and you're past age 59.5, and you should be good to go. So that's in-service withdrawal. And if we keep going down here, you're going to see, that it tells you you can take a lump sum distribution, but for most people, they want to do the installment payment. So this thing right here. So this is also covered by your plan if you're going to stay with them, either while you're still working or once you quit, that you can take funds out monthly, quarterly, or annually. Now, some plans are not as flexible, and I've heard that for Rule of 55, they'll offer it because the IRS makes them offer it, but then they force you to take it as a lump sum distribution. So how that money is distributed is entirely up to your plan. Now, clearly, if you have a lot of money in a 401k and you're planning to use the Rule of 55, you don't want a lump sum distribution, because taking out $1 million, $2 million all at once and paying taxes on it is going to be brutal. So you want the option to do installment distributions. But like I said, that's covered by your plan document. You need to read it. All right. So the Rule of 55 is a special consideration, and I'm going to have to go find it here. And I might have passed it, but it's what happens after you terminate employment. So I think this is it right here. So distribution after employment. So the Rule of 55 is pretty simple. Once you reach the age of 55, and actually it's the year that you would turn 55. So if your birthday is in December and you want to quit your job in January, you can and still utilize the Rule of 55. But the rule basically says that in the year you turn age 55, you can withdraw from a employer's plan, a 401k, that you've terminated employment with and not have to pay the penalty. So only the penalty goes away, but taxes are still due. And this is the section that talks about it, and it also describes how that happens. So whether it's a lump sum, installment, what have you. And there is an amount limit that is required for you to be able to do that, but it gives you all of that. The one thing that I do want to talk about here is that there is a mandatory 20% federal income tax withholding from all 401k distribution, whether it's after age 59.5, using the Rule of 55, or any of that. This is just a tax withholding for taxes that may be potentially due. Now, if you're going to end up paying a lot less than the 20% tax, you'll get that as a refund. But you need to account for that up front, because a lot of people are not aware. So they're taking out whatever, $100,000 worth, but only ends up with 80 and are surprised. So there's a mandatory withholding with 401k distribution. That's not the case for IRAs. So with IRAs, you're going to have to figure out your own tax withholdings. And if you make a mistake, you may owe a penalty at the end. But regardless, if this person is being charged $50 per $1,000 withdrawal, that's 5%. That's not this 20% tax withholding. So it sounds like it's a fee that's being charged by the plan provider, and you should look into your plan documents to get the details on that. So regardless, this was an interesting question, and I hope you learned something new. The big takeaway is that every 401k plan is unique and it's governed by the plan description, which you can get from your plan administrator. Hopefully this was helpful to you and that you learned something new. I'll see you in the next video. See you later.